Nice is harmless. Nice is agreeable. Nice keeps the peace. Nice fits in. But nice doesn't build empires. Nice doesn't lead revolutions. Nice doesn't shake industries, break patterns, or command respect. Nice doesn't make history. It fades into it. And here's the truth. No one wants to say, being too nice will kill your success. Not because kindness is weakness, but because niceness isn't the same thing as strength. Kindness is conscious. Nice is compliant. Kindness sets boundaries. Nice avoids conflict. Kindness leads with truth. Nice fears being disliked. And when your success is at stake, there is no room for a version of you that shrinks just to be accepted. There is no space for a version of you that says yes to everything, even when your soul screams no. Because every yes you give out of guilt is a no to your vision. Every smile you force to keep the peace is a crack in your foundation. Every moment you avoid speaking your truth is a delay in your destiny. Too nice, and you'll become a doormat in your own life. You'll let clients underpay you. You'll let friends disrespect your time. You'll let family criticize your dreams. You'll stay silent when your power begs to speak. Not because you're weak, but because you were trained to be liked more than you were taught to lead. And being liked is seductive. It feels safe, it feels warm, it feels like approval. But approval doesn't build freedom. Approval doesn't make impact. Approval is rented, and the price is you. You lose yourself to stay lovable. You dilute your voice so others won't feel insecure. You hide your ambition so others won't feel threatened. You say yes to distractions so you don't offend anyone with your discipline. And the result? You stay busy, but broke. You stay liked, but lost. You stay visible, but invisible to yourself. Because success demands truth. Success demands clarity. Success demands that you show up with boundaries so sharp they cut through manipulation. But niceness gets manipulated. People pleasers get used. The always available get drained. The I'll do it types get dumped on because you trained the world how to treat you. You taught them that you'd take the blame. You taught them that your time wasn't valuable. You taught them that your dreams could wait. So, if you're too nice, don't be surprised when you end up last in line for your own life. Success isn't built on always being liked. It's built on being respected. And respect isn't handed out, it's earned. It's earned by saying no without apology. It's earned by enforcing standards without guilt. It's earned by showing up consistently, even when it makes others uncomfortable, especially when it makes others uncomfortable. Because leadership is discomfort. It's making the tough call. It's disappointing people who expected you to stay small. It's risking rejection to remain in alignment. And alignment always comes at a cost. You will lose people. You will offend those who benefited from your silence. You will be called selfish, arrogant, too ambitious, not because you are, but because they can no longer control you. And people confuse boundaries with betrayal when they no longer get to benefit from your lack of them. So they'll label your growth as ego. They'll call your standards too much. They'll say you've changed. Yes, you have changed. You've changed from agreeable to authentic, from doormat to disciplined, from approval addicted to vision aligned. And now you understand kindness without strength is slavery. You can still be kind, but your kindness will now have limits. You'll still be generous, but your generosity will be guarded. You'll still be loving, but your love will now include yourself. Because loving everyone but abandoning yourself is not kindness, it's self-neglect. And self-neglect is the most dangerous form of failure. It's the slow erosion of potential. It's the daily betrayal of your own greatness in exchange for being accepted by people who are not building anything real. So be kind, but be clear. Be helpful, but be honest. Be generous, but be guarded. You were not put on this earth to carry everyone's burden. You were not born to be the emotional trash can for other people's chaos. You were not built to bend every time someone else breaks. You were built for impact, and impact requires weight. It requires focus. It requires the ability to say, this is my line, and I will not cross it for your comfort. So if being nice means silencing your voice, let them call you harsh. If being nice means betraying your values, let them call you cold. If being nice means shrinking your power, let them call you difficult. Because difficult people move mountains. Difficult people change the world. Difficult people are the ones who stopped being polite and started being powerful. And powerful people don't beg for room, they command it. Not with noise, not with ego, but with presence. A presence that says, I know who I am. I know what I allow. I know what I will never tolerate again. Because when you stop being too nice, you stop apologizing for your fire. You stop softening your voice to keep the peace in rooms you've outgrown. You stop saying yes when everything inside you is screaming no. You begin to protect your priorities like sacred ground. You begin to treat your time like currency. You begin to act like your future actually matters. Because it does. And every time you people please, you push that future further away. Every time you delay your dream to meet someone else's demand, you betray your mission. Every time you say, it's okay, when it's not okay, you lie to yourself. And you can't build a truthful life on a foundation of lies. So stop lying. Stop smiling when you feel used. Stop agreeing when you feel disrespected. Stop absorbing other people's chaos and calling it compassion. That's not kindness. That's abandonment of your own voice, your own energy, your own truth. And your truth? It's not always soft. Sometimes it sounds like no. Sometimes it sounds like that doesn't work for me. Sometimes it sounds like I'm not available for that anymore. Not because you're cruel, but because you're clear. And clarity, real clarity, will always look like defiance to those who benefited from your confusion. So let them misunderstand you. Let them label you. Let them walk away. Let them gossip. Let them say you've changed. They're right. You've changed your life by changing your standards. And high standards are not arrogance. They're alignment. You're finally aligned with the person you were always meant to be. The person who doesn't chase approval. The person who doesn't entertain chaos. The person who doesn't say yes out of fear. You've killed the disease of being too nice. And in its place, you've grown self-respect. You've grown discipline. You've grown the strength to choose truth over comfort, power over permission, purpose over politeness. Because polite won't build the dream. Polite won't protect your energy. Polite won't get you free. Only clarity will. Only standards will. Only the courage to say no will. So from now on, your niceness is not weakness. It is strategy. You will be kind but never compliant. You will be giving but never drained. You will be powerful and you will still walk with grace. But make no mistake, you will never again be too nice to succeed. Because now you understand success requires edge. It requires a spine made of steel beneath a heart that still cares. It requires a soul that serves, but a mind that won't be manipulated. It requires you to walk into rooms not asking, do they like me? But declaring, I belong here. Not because of titles, not because of ego, but because you've earned the right to stand tall. Too nice keeps you apologizing for existing. Too nice keeps you shrinking when you should be expanding. Too nice turns leaders into followers, visionaries into assistants, and warriors into worriers. But that version of you, it's done. The version that avoided conflict, that couldn't say no, that let others take and take until there was nothing left, you buried that version in the ashes of your last I'm fine. You are no longer here to be fine. You are here to be brilliant. And brilliance is polarizing. Some will be inspired. Some will be intimidated. Some will call it arrogance. Some will call it selfishness. Let them, because while they talk, you build. While they wonder, you execute. While they gossip, you grow. And growth is your proof. Every time you choose a boundary instead of being agreeable, you grow. Every time you say no without guilt, you grow. Every time you protect your energy, your time, your truth, you grow. And growth isn't loud. It's not always public. It's not always pretty, but it's always powerful. And over time, your results will do what your niceness never could. They'll speak. They'll command respect. They'll attract the right people. They'll filter out the wrong ones. They'll silence doubt without you saying a single word. Because nothing shuts down judgment like transformation. Nothing stops disrespect like self-respect. Nothing kills manipulation like unshakable standards. So be kind, but let your kindness have teeth. Be generous, but let your generosity have gates. Be loving, but let your love start with you. Because the world doesn't need another nice person who's burnt out, used up, and invisible to their own destiny. The world needs you. Clear, focused, unapologetic, unshakable, unstoppable. The version of you who is no longer too nice to be great. The version of you who no longer trades power for peacekeeping. The version of you who can still smile, but only if your soul is smiling with you. That version doesn't knock. They walk in. They speak truth. They change the game. And they never again apologize for taking up space. Because taking up space is not arrogance, it's alignment. You were never meant to be invisible. You were never meant to stay small, quiet, agreeable, and exhausted. You were never meant to live your life on mute while others spoke over your value. You were meant to own the room, to command your days, to lead, not follow, to create, not comply. And from this moment forward, you will. You'll speak with authority, not because you're loud, but because you're clear. You'll walk with presence, not because you want to impress, but because you refuse to shrink. You'll give from overflow, not from depletion. Because giving from depletion is not generosity, it's self-abandonment. And you're done abandoning yourself. You've spent too many seasons holding your breath so others could breathe easier. You've spent too many years adjusting yourself to fit into places that never deserved you. You've spent too much time giving your light to people who only knew how to live in shadows. Now, it ends. No more guilt for choosing yourself. No more shame for saying no. No more watering yourself down just to be digestible to people who were never hungry for truth. Because your truth, it's powerful. It's clean. It's focused. It's bold. And yes, it will ruffle feathers. It will disrupt dynamics. It will threaten every system built on your silence. But let the dust rise. Let the people fall away. Let the old version of you finally die. So the real you, the version who was always there, waiting, can live. Live boldly. Live fully. Live free. Free from the need to be liked. Free from the fear of being misunderstood. Free from the invisible contracts you signed just to be accepted. Rip them up. You're not too much. You're not too driven. You're not too intense. You're just finally done pretending to be less. And success? It loves clarity. It honors courage. It flows to those who no longer chase it because they've become the kind of person who attracts it. So become ruthless with your time. Become fearless with your standards. Become unapologetic with your mission. And never again confuse being nice with being noble. Because real nobility isn't found in your willingness to bend. It's found in your refusal to break. So don't break. Not for their comfort. Not for their approval. Not for the illusion of peace that cost you your power. You were not made to blend in. You were made to be bold. You were not built to carry everyone. You were built to stand firm. You were not called to silence your truth. You were called to speak it with fire. Because success is not a side effect of being liked. Success is the byproduct of being real, radically real, painfully honest, unshakably clear. And in that clarity, niceness is replaced by integrity. The kind of integrity that sets standards so high, they automatically remove the wrong people. The kind of integrity that doesn't chase, doesn't beg, doesn't explain, just executes. It builds. It sharpens. It leads. And while the world tries to tell you to soften, to be more palatable, more passive, more polite, you'll smile. Because you're not here to be palatable. You're here to be powerful. You're not here to soothe everyone's insecurities. You're here to ignite their potential. And that ignition, it starts with you, with the fire you refuse to put out, even when the world handed you buckets of guilt, with the voice you refused to mute, even when silence was safer, with the standard you refused to drop, even when nice would have made you more liked. But liked was never the goal. Legacy was. Impact was. Freedom was. And freedom only comes when you choose you. When you finally say, I am not too much. I am just not for everyone. My power is not a problem. It's my gift. My boundaries are not walls. They are bridges to the life I was meant to build. And you are building it now. Not with apologies. Not with permission. But with fire. Unstoppable. Undeniable. Unapologetic. You are no longer too nice to win. Now you are too clear to lose. Because clarity is the ultimate weapon. Not against people, but against patterns. Against the version of you that kept settling. Against the habits that kept you tired, agreeable, and invisible. Against the fear that told you, tone it down if you want to be loved. No more. You don't tone it down, you turn it up. You don't shrink, you expand. You don't explain, you embody. Because the person you're becoming, they don't beg for seats at tables they've outgrown. They build new tables. They bring their own chair. And if there's no room, they take up space anyway. You were taught that being nice would get you further. But now you know it only got you used. Used for your time. Used for your energy. Used for your kindness by people who had no intention of reciprocating. But that version of you, the overgiver, the over-explainer, the over-accommodator, is gone. Buried. And in its place stands a leader. Not the loudest, not the flashiest, but the most grounded, the most principled, the most dangerous kind of person on the planet. The one who knows exactly who they are and refuses to be anything less. That's your power now. That's your peace now. That's your new non-negotiable. You won't play small to make others comfortable. You won't stay silent to make them stay. You won't play nice when truth demands conviction. You will show up. You will speak with strength. You will lead with fire. And the world will adjust or fall away. Either way, you keep building. Because being liked never made you rich. Being liked never built your legacy. Being liked never healed your soul. But being clear gave you everything. So stay clear. Stay bold. Stay unshakably you. Because from now on, you're no longer too nice to say no. You're no longer too nice to take space. You're no longer too nice to own your greatness. Now you're too powerful to pretend you're not. You're too powerful to keep dimming the light you were born to shine. Too powerful to shrink into rooms that can't hold your truth. Too powerful to keep lowering your voice so fragile egos feel tall. Too powerful to keep editing yourself into a version that pleases everyone, but empowers no one. Because that's not power, that's performance. And your soul wasn't built to perform. It was built to lead, to pierce, to move mountains by simply refusing to move backwards. So now, you walk different, with weight in your steps, with fire in your chest, with silence that roars louder than approval ever could. You don't need permission to speak. You are the permission. You don't beg for support. You build with or without it. You don't chase validation. You choose alignment. because alignment feeds what approval starves. And now you are fed by your own clarity, fueled by your own focus, driven by your own damn decision to be exactly who you are. No edits, no filter, no apology. You've stopped sacrificing your greatness for temporary peace. You've stopped settling for okay in a life that was meant to be outstanding. You've stopped asking, is this too much? And started declaring, this is who I am, take it or miss it. And the world won't forget you. Because the world doesn't remember the nice ones who said yes to everything and left nothing for themselves. The world remembers the ones who stood up, the ones who walked away, the ones who said no so loudly it became a ripple of freedom for everyone watching. So be that ripple. Be the one who broke the cycle. Be the one who redefined kindness. Be the one who loved deeply, but never at the cost of self. Be the one who proves that you can be kind and fierce, soft and unbreakable, generous and guarded, compassionate and completely untouchable to anything that doesn't serve your future. Because now you are no longer too nice for success. You are exactly as powerful, as bold, and as unstoppable as success always needed you to be. And this is where everything changes. Because once you drop the mask of being nice, you become real. And real is rare. Real is raw. Real is respected. Not instantly, not universally, but inevitably, because people may not like your boundaries, but they will respect them. They may not cheer your decisions, but they will feel your authority. They may not understand your silence, but they will never question your presence. Because presence is not about volume. It's about alignment. And alignment is magnetic. It pulls the right people in. It pushes the wrong ones out. And it keeps you moving in the direction of your highest self, regardless of who claps or who leaves. And that is the real win. Not the money, not the title, not the fame, but the fact that you can now look in the mirror and say, I didn't sell myself out to be accepted. I didn't sacrifice my soul to be safe. I didn't abandon my power just to be polite. You stood tall. You stood clear. You stood unapologetically you. And now you're not just successful. You're sovereign. You don't just have goals, you have grounding. You don't just have dreams, you have discipline. You don't just have fire, you have focus. Because your life is no longer run by the need to be nice. It's led by the non-negotiable truth of who you are. And from that truth, you build everything. You build your work. You build your wealth. You build your legacy. Brick by brick. Decision by decision. Boundary by boundary. Until one day, someone looks at your life and says, they didn't play the game. They rewrote it. And you'll smile. Not because you were liked by all, but because you were owned by none. And that is the power of no longer being too nice. That is the freedom of finally being you. Because when you're finally you, fully and fiercely, you stop chasing rooms and start creating atmospheres. You stop trying to fit in and start setting the tone. You stop waiting to be chosen and realize you were always the chooser. You choose who gets access. You choose how far they come. You choose what energy you allow near your mission. Because now you understand not everyone deserves a front row seat to your evolution. Some only come to spectate. Some only come to siphon. Some only come to slow you down so they don't have to face the guilt of staying the same. But you're done dimming for people who fear brightness. You're done negotiating your values for validation. You're done trading excellence for empathy when it becomes manipulation. You're done playing the soft role when you were born to be solid. And now you no longer seek comfort. You seek clarity. You no longer fear solitude. You thrive in it. Because solitude is where warriors sharpen. It's where you meet your real self. Without applause, without masks, without distractions. And in that stillness, you realized you were never too much. You were never too loud. You were never not nice enough. You were just surrounded by people who needed you smaller so they could feel bigger. But small no longer fits. And now you wear your power like armor. Not to fight, but to stand. Not to dominate, but to define. Because the most powerful force in the world is a human being who knows who they are and refuses to be anything else. So rise, speak, hold your line. Let the world feel the version of you that's no longer performing. Let them meet the you that says, I'm not cold, I'm clear. I'm not rude, I'm rooted. I'm not selfish, I'm self-honoring. Let them watch in silence, in awe, in disbelief, as you become what they never thought you'd have the audacity to be, free, focused, and no longer too nice to win. Because now you win differently. You don't win by pleasing. You win by protecting. Protecting your time, protecting your peace, protecting your potential, like it's sacred because it is. You don't win by overgiving. You win by aligning with people who pour back, with environments that sharpen you, with values that won't bend just to keep fake harmony intact. You don't win by staying humble in the way they taught, the kind that keeps you silent, soft, shrinking. You win by standing tall, heart open, voice unshaken, knowing your humility is in your discipline, not your invisibility. Because you don't serve the world by being easy to digest. You serve the world by being impossible to ignore. And the truth is, you were never meant to be quiet. You were never meant to blend into beige conversations, to water down your genius, to nod politely while your soul screamed, to speak. You were meant to cut through noise, to walk into rooms and make people sit up straighter. Not because you're loud, but because your presence speaks truth. And truth is magnetic. Truth is confrontational. Truth is disruptive. And you finally accepted. So are you. You were never just nice. You were necessary. Necessary for what's next. Necessary for the shift. Necessary for the future that only unfolds when someone like you refuses to stay small. So let the world recalibrate. Let the ones who only loved the soft version of you adjust to the sharpened one. Let the ones who benefited from your silence stumble in the face of your strength. Let the ones who called you too much now witness what just enough could never do. Because you're not backing down. You're not slowing down. You're not shrinking back. You're walking boldly, daily, unapologetically into everything they said you'd never have. Because you were too nice to go get it. And now you're too clear to care, too healed to perform, too grounded to waver. You've crossed the line from being liked to being legendary, from being agreeable to being aligned, from being pleasing to being powerful. And the world doesn't need another person playing nice. The world needs you, unedited, unshaken, unstoppable. It starts in silence. No fanfare, no crowds, no light show. Just you, standing in front of a life that no longer fits, and a future that refuses to wait. And in that moment, you're offered a choice. Remain and slowly die in the comfort of mediocrity, or rise and start building the version of yourself you were always meant to be. That's where change begins. Not with noise, not with applause, but with a quiet decision that says, I will not live one more year like the last. Because the truth is, your life doesn't improve by accident. It improves by intention. And if you want dramatic change, not surface level, not feel good, not temporary, you have to go deep. Deep into your patterns, deep into your disciplines, deep into the things you've allowed to define you, limit you, weaken you. Change is violent. It's disruptive. It will tear apart everything that isn't rooted in truth. But it will also rebuild you. Stronger, sharper, cleaner, more you than you've ever been. And it begins with the mind. Because until your mindset shifts, your life can't. You can buy the course, read the book, get the mentor. But if your mind is still programmed for survival instead of creation, you'll sabotage every blessing you touch. Your thoughts are the thermostat of your reality. And if you don't change the setting, you'll keep walking in circles, burning calories, but never building destiny. So upgrade your thinking, audit your language, kill every phrase that begins with I can't or I don't know how. Because you were not born confused. You were conditioned into confusion. Strip it back. You're not lost. You're just surrounded by noise. You're not broken. You're buried beneath habits that don't match your future. And the moment you see that, really see it, you gain back power. The power to decide differently. To stand in the same room with the same job, with the same responsibilities, but choose to no longer show up as the same person. That's real change. It's not the external shifts that matter first. It's the internal stance that says, from now on, I choose who I become. Because the version of you who complains, the version who scrolls, who waits, who delays, who blames, that version doesn't get to live the life you dream about at night. Only the upgraded you gets access to the upgraded life. And to become that, you need clarity. Because you can't change what you won't confront. So confront it all. The lies, the patterns, the excuses wrapped in logic, the people who drain you, the routines that numb you, the environment that keeps you average. Radical change requires radical clarity. And clarity will hurt before it heals. But once you see clearly, you begin to move with conviction instead of confusion. You stop asking for direction because now you are the compass. You stop bouncing between ideas because now you build direction into your days. You stop saying, I'll try, and you start declaring, I will, because your words aren't just sound. They are seeds. And if you're speaking mediocrity into your life every day, don't be shocked when your life reflects it. Upgrade your language. Speak with precision. Speak like someone who owns their power. Speak like your future is listening because it is. And while the world throws distractions at your feet like candy, you remain undistracted because you finally understand. Focus is wealth. Discipline is freedom. And boredom is a blessing to the builder. You don't need more dopamine. You need more direction. And with that direction comes purpose. Purpose doesn't arrive with trumpets. It comes when you stop trying to chase passion and start doing what must be done. You won't feel fireworks every day. You won't always be excited, but you'll wake up with meaning. And meaning is fuel that hype could never give you. Meaning makes you show up when it's dark. Meaning makes you train when it hurts. Meaning makes you impossible to kill because now you're not just existing, you're executing. And from that execution comes identity. From identity comes legacy. And from legacy comes the life you were always meant to live. But it begins in silence, with a decision, with a vow that from this moment on, you will not live another year asleep. You will build. You will evolve. You will improve dramatically, daily, and non-negotiably. Then we continue deeper into the fire because dramatic improvement doesn't ask for your interest. It demands your identity. And identity is built in decisions, in discomfort, in doing the hard things repeatedly until they become who you are. You want to change your life? Get serious about discipline, not just motivation, not just when I feel like it, but the kind of discipline that turns effort into instinct. You wake up and move no debate. You execute your plan, no emotion. You say no, not with guilt, but with gratitude. Because every no to distraction is a yes to destiny. Discipline isn't punishment. It's liberation. It frees you from regret. It frees you from shame. It frees you from being the person who talks about change, but never becomes it. And when you move from discipline, you enter a different space. A space where your results compound. A space where momentum becomes your default. A space where you don't have to force confidence, because confidence is now a consequence of your consistency. But it doesn't stop there. Because once you move in discipline, you must take ruthless action. You've planned enough. You've journaled enough. You've listened to the podcasts, read the books, studied the strategies. Now it's time to move. Action is the only translator between your ideas and your new reality. And until you move your feet, nothing changes. So move imperfectly, urgently, boldly, before you're ready, before you're certain, before it's comfortable. Because movement is magic. It creates clarity. It reveals blind spots. It exposes lies you didn't know you were living by. And every action is a vote for your future. So act like it. You're not just writing emails. You're building empires. You're not just working out. You're forging identity. You're not just saying no to distractions. You're saying yes to the life that's waiting on the other side of them. Every move matters. Every hour compounds. Every moment of alignment is a deposit into a future that will be unrecognizable to the you who once hesitated. And when you start stacking action on action, something else wakes up. Gratitude. Not the fluffy kind. Not the performative kind. The kind that grounds you. That silences entitlement. That reminds you how far you've already come. Because nothing improves your life faster than being grateful for what you already have, while still demanding more from yourself. You don't settle. You honor. You honor the lessons. You honor the process. You honor the pain that shaped you. And when you walk in that gratitude, you become immune to lack. You're no longer chasing success from desperation. You're building from overflow. That's when power flows. Not from fear, but from foundation. You're rooted now. Rooted in mindset. Rooted in clarity. Rooted in action. Rooted in purpose. Rooted in gratitude. And now you rise. But rising demands something else. Adaptability. Because life won't wait for you to be ready. It will test you. It will stretch you. It will change the rules just when you thought you had them figured out. But you won't panic. You'll pivot. You'll adjust the method, never the mission. You'll bend, but you won't break. You'll evolve without explanation. Because improvement is not linear. It's not clean. It's not pretty. It's messy. It's raw. It's a full contact sport with the unknown. But you've trained for this. You're no longer reactive. You're responsive. You don't resist reality, you reshape it. You meet chaos with clarity. You meet uncertainty with strategy. You meet change with fire in your chest and say, I was built for this, because you were. And now you're proving it not with promises, but with progress. Then we go further into the edge where average gets scared and greatness begins. Because after adaptability comes the core that holds it all together. Resilience. The ability to be dropped, doubted, disappointed, and still rise. To be underestimated and still deliver. To be broken but not bitter. Shaken but not shattered. Cut but still moving forward. Resilience is what happens when pain meets purpose. When pressure doesn't push you down, it pushes you deeper. Deeper into your strength, deeper into your standards, deeper into your reason why. And when the world sees collapse, you see a challenge. You see the chance to rebuild stronger, to return smarter, to restart with more fire than before. Because while others quit, you recommit. You don't fold. You fortify. You don't run. You reset your stance. Because your resilience isn't negotiable anymore. It's part of who you are. And now that you've endured, you've earned something no book, no seminar, no speech could ever give you. Self-respect. The kind that doesn't beg. The kind that doesn't explain. The kind that stands in front of the mirror and says, I walked through fire. I lost things I loved. I rebuilt with bare hands. And I didn't stop. That is how you improve your life dramatically. Not by adding more fluff, but by subtracting every lie that told you you couldn't do it. Every story that said you needed to be rescued. Every belief that kept you waiting. You don't wait anymore. You learn. And learning is not passive. It's not academic. It's not about collecting more information. It's about implementation. It's about integration. It's about turning pain into principle and failure into framework. Because the best teacher isn't comfort, it's consequence. And you've learned more from your setbacks than you ever did from your wins. You've learned how to stand, how to breathe through chaos, how to sharpen your sword without anyone seeing. You've learned that growth is not an event. It's a grind. It's what you do when no one believes in you. It's what you build when everyone walks away. It's what you become when all you've got is vision and fire. But that's enough. Because now, you don't need the world to believe in you. You've learned to believe in yourself. And belief, true, tested, bloody belief, is the soil from which transformation explodes. You want to improve your life dramatically? Then believe like your life depends on it. Because it does. Then we continue to the part most people avoid, but where the deepest shift begins. Forgiveness. Not the soft kind. Not the spiritual bypass. Not the let it go they preach without ever feeling the weight. Real forgiveness. The kind that liberates your future. Because you can't improve your life dramatically if you're still chained to the wounds of your past. You can't evolve if you're dragging dead weight through every new door. You can't build fire on top of ashes you refuse to sweep. So forgive. Not for them, for you. Forgive the people who should have protected you. Forgive the friends who betrayed your trust. Forgive the moments where you should have spoken up, acted faster, believed harder. Not because it was okay, but because you're done letting it own you. Because as long as you're bitter, you're bound. And as long as you're bound, you're not building. Let it go not with weakness, but with warrior strength. Let it go with fire. Let it go with authority. Let it go like someone who finally understands. My life is too valuable to be held hostage by what hurt me. And as you release it, you make room for real power. Not the kind that performs, the kind that radiates. You become lighter, not softer, stronger, because now your power isn't a mask, it's a mirror. You've faced the pain. You've met yourself in your darkest hour. You've bled, burned, rebuilt, and you didn't break. That is power. That is freedom. That is the soil where real, unstoppable, irreversible transformation takes root. And once you plant there, your life cannot remain the same. You no longer walk, you march. You no longer work, you create. You no longer react. You respond with intention, precision, and presence. Because presence is your final weapon. Presence is how you reclaim every moment that was stolen by fear. Presence is how you make peace with the process. Presence is how you move fully awake into a life most people only dream of. No more autopilot. No more floating. No more pretending tomorrow will fix what you're afraid to face today. Now is the moment. This second, this breath, this choice. And when you stack one present decision on top of another, you don't just improve your life. You rebuild it from the roots up. Not someday, not eventually, dramatically, deliberately, and permanently. Then let us finish this not with silence, but with a storm. Because you've come too far to stop at better. Too far to stop at improved. Too far to stop at almost. You're not here to slightly upgrade your life. You're here to completely transcend it. You're not here to adjust. You're here to awaken. And awakening doesn't ask for comfort. It asks for conviction. It demands that you burn the blueprint of who they told you to be and build what you were born to become, to stand where the old you would have folded, to fight where the old you would have fled, to rise where the old you would have rested. Because now you don't need proof. You are the proof. Proof that it can be done. That growth is not a gimmick. That evolution is not for the lucky, it's for the decided. And you have decided. You have declared. You have rebuilt from broken. You have trained in silence. You have sharpened in solitude. You have traded comfort for clarity, validation for vision, approval for purpose. And now you walk like someone who's already arrived. You speak like someone who's already paid the price. You build like someone who knows no one's coming to save you and no one needs to. Because you become the person who saves themselves. And when that version of you wakes up, life doesn't just change. It explodes with power, with peace, with purpose so loud the world has no choice but to listen. You don't just improve. You transform. You don't just survive. You lead. You don't just heal. You ignite. And from this moment forward, your life is no longer a reaction. It is a revolution, built from belief, sustained by discipline, fueled by fire, and driven by a decision no one can reverse. You have changed. You will never go back. And you are just getting started. This is how you dramatically improve your life. And this is how you make it unrecognizable.